Well, welcome to Stranger Than Fan Fiction and goodbye mid-season hiatus. It's been nearly 2 seasons since Rainbow has had an episode where she's dealt with anything Daring Do related, and ever since Read It and Weep, I've always looked forward to episodes where Rainbow Dash gets involved with Daring Do's adventures, be it in the books or actual adventures. It's just so cool how the writers combine the action, adventure, and problem-solving of Indiana Jones with the magic of how addicting the books can be, just like when Harry Potter was brand new. But an episode that fans of Comic-Con or even BronyCon can appreciate with how exciting and magical it can be to be surrounded by the thing they love and hundreds of others that feel the same way is such a great idea for an episode. But the idea of how to deal with someone who doesn't quite see eye to eye with you on something you love is an intriguing one, and a good lesson for people to learn. Yet, how did the writers manage to pull it off? Let's journey back into the show to find out. Well, first off, I loved the atmosphere surrounding the Daring Do convention when Rainbow Dash stepped in. I'd never been to an official convention of anything, but I loved the attention to detail surrounding the convention itself, especially with all of the ponies that dressed up as different characters from the books, and all of the cool souvenirs and activities set up for the fans. The writers and animators really captured how exciting it can be to go somewhere surrounded by one of your absolute favorite things and hundreds of others who share your passion, even finding someone who's as dedicated as you are. Rainbow Dash acting all giddy at the different souvenirs, booths, and interactive Daring Do exhibits was enjoyable to watch, but it was even better to see Rainbow bonding with Quibble over their love for the book series. Making new friends at a convention is really what makes them special, kind of like relatives who you don't get to see that often, but it's always a blast when you do. Now, as for Quibble Pants, I really loved how this guy did a complete 180 on Rainbow Dash from when they first met. The TV guide description for DirecTV stated that he hated Daring Do as much as Rainbow loved it, but that wasn't true at all. Quibble is more like the Star Wars quote-unquote purist, especially for his line about nothing else happened to Daring Do after the original trilogy. Kind of like how Deadpool is an anti-hero, I'd call Quibble an anti-fan. He doesn't outright hate Daring Do, just like he said, but he loathes where the books took the character after the third story. And honestly, I loved this direction more than if he was a hater of Daring Do. He still likes the character in the books, but his views clash with Rainbow Dash, who loves every single adventure that Daring goes on. However, one of my favorite things about the reveal that Quibble doesn't like post-Book 3 Daring Do, he and Rainbow do get passionate about how they feel about the books, yet they never resort to name-calling or question the other's intelligence. While their conversation does get heated and draws a small crowd, they both did their best to present their sides of the argument without resorting to childish antics. All they really do is claim that they can't be friends with someone who has such a contrasting opinion on Daring Do, which while it was an explosive way to do it, there's still nothing wrong about disagreeing with someone. And even though Rainbow Dash knows that all the stories actually happened, Quibble can't be blamed for his stances from Book 4 on, since as far as he knew, Daring Do is just a fictional hero. However, once Quibble and Rainbow are kidnapped by Dr. Cabaleron, their differing opinions on the book series take a comedic turn. I loved how that the entire time they were abducted, Quibble just assumed it was a lame Daring Do adventucation, and he had this annoyed and unimpressed look on his face. His sarcastic remarks to not only Rainbow's quips that what was happening was real, but his insults to Cabaleron's plan and accent were hilarious. The best parts of Quibble's banter had to be Cabaleron's reactions, like how he turned to his goons and said that his plan wasn't that overcomplicated. But it wasn't just those two that had hilarious banters back and forth. Once he unlocks himself in Rainbow and wants to go back to the hotel, it was so funny how Rainbow got annoyed with his constant critiques of modern Daring Do. From the way Quibble nonchalantly unlocks the artifact that had he and Rainbow locked up, how he continued to think Rainbow tricked him into a quote lame adventucation, and him threatening to report his captors to, well, he doesn't exactly know who. The entire second act was just a hint of how great the writers managed to mix in humor and action, especially with how different his and Rainbow's reactions are to everything bad that happens to them. But as we know, it's not a Daring Do episode without some action! And yet, even after Daring Do saves both Quibble and Rainbow Dash, proving that Daring is a real pony, the writers manage to keep Quibble's dry and sarcastic remarks going, which creates a great mixture of subtle comedy with action, just like Indiana Jones managed to pull off. The scene where he critiques Daring's every decision on which door to try and open, only to poke fun at Book 4 once they find the treasure, was just perfect. His quick puzzle solving and how he sounded so bored at the ease of figuring out the answer was a great jab at how, according to him, Daring's adventures have kind of fallen into a rut, and she wasn't the same puzzle solver she used to be. The scene kind of reminds me of how the kid from Last Action Hero kept easily solving problems for Arnold Schwarzenegger's character because he knew so much about movies. I also loved how Quibble questioned Daring on if she can escape a temple without flying out the top once their escape route was cut off. This led to another great hybrid of action and humor when Daring and Rainbow couldn't hear Quibble very well and he came close to being eaten by the Awizotl wannabe, as he put it, and Rainbow's smug as hell face after Daring Do saves the duo from drowning was gold. What is it about Daring Do that makes Rainbow's best facial expressions come out? However, my favorite joke in the whole episode was definitely when Daring chucks a rock at the wall just as Cabaleron and his goons are looking for the trio and the monster bursts through the wall and starts chasing them. All of this humor blended together with problem solving and action easily makes the third act the most enjoyable part of the episode. And yet, despite the third act being the most enjoyable thing about Stranger Than Fan Fiction for me, it's not my favorite part. No. My favorite part is the closing dialogue between Rainbow Dash and Quibble Pants. It was simply brilliant how Quibble figured out the reason for his and Rainbow's contrasting opinions on Daring Do and how they can still get along despite all of this. They both love Daring Do for different reasons, but it doesn't mean that they have to hate each other or be mortal enemies. Even fans of something can disagree on why they're fans of that particular subject. I know a lot of people love MLP for the fantasy and adventure episodes that also give fuel to fanfic writers, while others, myself included, prefer the slice of life episodes that deal with real life scenarios. Seeing why someone enjoys a book series or TV series from a different perspective than you can really help both parties appreciate what they love even more. And the fact that the conflict is between fans and not between a hater and a fan makes this lesson about it being perfectly reasonable to disagree much more impactful. So, was Stranger Than Fan Fiction worth the wait of the hiatus? I'd say absolutely. While it's not the best episode of Season 6, and I think Daring Don't is the best of the Daring Do episodes, Stranger Than Fan Fiction was such a treat to come back to after the hiatus, especially for those who recently attended BronyCon. What starts out as a fun weekend for Rainbow Dash quickly turns into a game of survival between her and another Daring Do fan that doesn't quite see eye to eye with her. It's a fun adventure full of perils, booby traps, bad guys, action, and a little humor sprinkled on top to make for one enjoyable episode. The lesson that both Rainbow and Quibble Pants learned by the end of the episode is quite honestly one of the most important ever presented in the show. The fact that Quibble enjoys the Daring Do that solved puzzles and used critical thinking to escape precarious situations, while Rainbow Dash enjoys the Daring Do that kicks ass and comes out on top no matter what the odds while remaining friends and dedicated fans is something a lot of people can learn from. Stranger Than Fan Fiction is a nice, seamless mixture of slice of life, humor, and action adventure that more than earns a green flag rating. But what's your opinion on the episode? Was it a nice welcome back from the hiatus? Was it like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? Or was it like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Please tell me what you thought of Stranger Than Fan Fiction. Let's see if we can put the lesson to the test. I'm MrLeftTurn. I'll see you the next time I get back from the track.